Champions League of tax avoidance. Uber used 50 Dutch shell companies to dodge taxes on nearly $6 billion in revenue, report says.
Here's a summary of the article.
Uber has been using a complex tax shelter involving around 50 Dutch shell companies to reduce its global tax bill, according to recent research from the Centre for International Corporate Tax Accountability and Research. In 2019, Uber claimed $4.5 billion in global operating losses for tax purposes. In reality, it brought in $5.8 billion in operating revenue, according to CICTAR, an Australia-based research group. Uber had previously disclosed details about its Dutch tax haven in 2019, when it moved its intellectual property from Bermuda to the Netherlands, but CICTAR's research sheds more light on how the company has structured its network of shell companies. Uber transferred its intellectual property through a $16 billion loan from one of its subsidiaries in Singapore that in turn owns one of Uber's Dutch shell companies, a maneuver that grants the company a $1 billion tax break every year for the next 20 years, the researchers found. Uber has supercharged their tax avoidance approach, Ward told Insider, using an intellectual property tax break to prevent future tax bills, turning it into a much more useful, viable tax structure in the Netherlands. India is in desperate need of public revenue to help it combat COVID-19, yet companies like Uber are able to avoid contributing to that effort through tax avoidance schemes, Ward told Insider. In response, some lawmakers around the world, including the U.S. President Joe Biden, have lobbied for a global minimum tax and other measures to reduce tax avoidance, which the Tax Justice Network estimates costs governments $427 billion annually.
This post received a score of 64,000, with an upvote ratio of 93%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Whenever a company is doing well, all I can think is, how are they blowing off their tax payments?
Whenever a big company is reporting losses, I assume they actually made money and just had a really good tax avoidance year.
The Hollywood accounting. IRC. There are very few movies that make a profit simply because they rip off all the cast and crew by saying, you get 5% of the profit, and then they magic account it so that no profit is made. Gotta get that gross. Also, your statement reminds me of Peter Jackson and the LOTR trilogy. Studio. Hey Pete, we didn't make any monies, sorry, no monies for you. Pete. Okay, then let's open the books and figure out how bad it is. Studio. NVM, here's your monies, now shut up. Edit.
They did the same thing to the guy who wrote Forrest Gump. That movie is number 29 on the top ticket sales of all time list. They claimed it didn't make any money despite having record sales. He took them to court. Magically settled when their book Cooking was threatened. Then the author got them locked into a contract to buy the sequel to his novel, and wrote a book so awful they couldn't figure out how to adapt it.
Do you remember the name of that book?
Serious answer. Gump & Co.
Thank you, lol. On the first page, Forrest Gump tells readers, don't ever let nobody make a movie of your life story, and, whether they get it right or wrong, it don't matter.
It's an absolutely hilarious read when you know the story. It's all sass.
Break the company up into 50 different competing companies.
Every city they operate in already had a taxicab company. Just dissolve Uber.
There's a reason people choose ride-sharing apps over taxicabs.
Sorry, my credit card machine is broke, some cab driver, longing to live in the fucking Stone Age.
I was heading to the airport from NYC and they tried to pull that. I told them thanks for the free ride then cause you have to have a card machine working. Lo and behold it worked after that. Side note, is it lo and behold or lo and behold?
You got it right. It's low. Low, exclamation archaic used to draw attention to an interesting or amazing.
So low as the old school yo.
Yo and behold is so good, tears of joy. It's only a crime when poor people don't pay their taxes. Otherwise it's being smart.
It's only a crime if you can't afford lawyers and accountants to guide you through the legal loopholes. Guide you through? That is amateur shit. The big boys buy the politicians to create the fucking loopholes.
Investing in a politicians is vastly cheaper than the rates for the lawyers and accountants. That's the really sad part. It's all about that ROI. Which is why big companies often give to both sides.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.